Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to the live. The numbers are out, the ratings are out, and we finally get to see how did Drake's latest hit. Should I say hit? Drake's latest song did on the Billboard Hot 100. So the ratings came out today. We're just going to jump straight into it. I will say this before we get into what the song looks like, far as how it is performing. Uh, it's not enough. It didn't perform well at all. It's not in the top 10, and so it's a very curious thing that's happening with Drake right now, as far as how his records are performing. And I don't care what anyone else might say. Somebody might try to say, well, this has nothing to do with the beef and the battle with Kendrick Lamar. Come on, yes, it does. I think he is definitely struggling, trying to rebound from that L. We have to keep in mind that the majority of Drake's singles, especially from I'd say the mid 2010s and onward, debuted in the top 10. Okay, with many of those entering in at number one. So it is a very different experience that Drake is having right now with his latest releases, and especially the last one. So let's just go the Billboard Hot 100 and take a look at what's happening there. So let me share my screen with you all just a second. All right. So at number one, we have Ordinary by Alex Warren. I finally listened to this song today. He is this I like the song. It's a cool song. The guy's voice reminds me a lot of Giveon. So if you haven't listened to that yet, just check it out and see what you think about it. But let's just scroll on through and see which one hits. Okay, we're at number 5, number 6, number 7. Still not there. Bar song Tipsy Shabuzi is still on uh, the Billboard Hot 100. It's been there for 68 weeks, so that's great for Shabuzi. Let's see. So it's not in the top 10. Luther is still at number 12. We know that peaked at number 1 and was number 1 for many, many weeks. And this is its 36th week on the Billboard Hot 100. So let's see where Drake is. Leon Thomas Mutt, very happy for him. His peak was at number 12. He's at number 18, 26 weeks on the chart. So Drake's latest song is not in the top 20. Miami, and here we are. Okay, here we are. Drake song Which One with Central C debuted at number 23. Number 23. Now, you will hear some folks say, right, that, well, do you know how many artists would kill to be at number 23 on the Hot 100? Well, we're not talking about any other artist. We're talking about Drake. And we know for Drake to release a song and for it to debut at 23 is not a usual thing. So let's see if his other song, What Did I Miss, if it's still on the charts in the top 100. Okay, so a lot of other people, we don't care about any of this right now. We're trying to see. Okay, here we are. What Did I Miss? What Did I Miss is at 31. It debuted at number 2, but this week it is at number 31. Last week it was at number 23. Let's see. It debuted, of course, at number 2, and it's been going down steadily since then. So, saying all that to say that this is just not good. This is not Drake-like performance for any songs that he released. I actually thought that Which One, since it had more of a summer vibe, whatever, even though it's kind of late in the summer, kids are going back to school, including college kids are going back to school. People are wrapping up vacations at this point or getting near to it. But nevertheless, it is still summer. I thought which one might have had a better chance to perform better, but clearly not because it debuted at 23. Now maybe Drake can work this song he in Central C, and maybe it can go up the chart some. That does happen, so we'll see. But I don't know. I don't know. It's just not looking good. And I think about, you have that performance, then we have the other things that we've been seeing in the media of late with Drake. That's also not looking good, including the things happening with him and his concerts, with people throwing things at him. Now, let me tell you, whether you are a Drake fan or not, when people pay their money to go to a concert, pardon me, and they do something like that they throw things at the artists on the stage, I think that's just deplorable. I think that's just dumb. It's stupid. I hope security sees who does it so you can get whatever you should get with doing something like that. That's just foul. And I could not even imagine paying my money, first of all, to go see somebody who I want to throw something at them while they're on the stage. But nevertheless, that is happening to Drake in this moment. So let me just share my screen in case you haven't seen those incidents, to just share with you what is going on there. But it's just a lot to see, and I don't know. I think a lot of people are a bit taken aback by some of it, because we know Drake has been taking a lot of hits ever since the battle, and it at different points in time it does not seem to be getting better. You would think at this point in all of this that it would actually be getting better for Drake, but to me it looks like it's almost getting worse. Not better. So as you can see in this clip, people are throwing bottles at him. Let me just take it back and replay it so you guys can see it again. Look at this. Look at this. And this is, at the end of his concert, he obviously, I didn't know this was a thing, but he apparently has done this at other concerts where he hovers above the crowd and plays Whitney Houston's I Think I Will Always Love You. But that is a lot. That is just a lot. And so it didn't stop there. Then at another concert, he went, somebody threw a roll of tissue, toilet paper at the man. I'm like, y'all, like I said, Drake fan or not, why would you pay your hard-earned money to go do that at the concert? So needless to say, these L's that Drake is taking, it from where I'm sitting, it does not appear to be getting better. Now, supposedly he's going to be releasing episode 3 from Iceman. And at this point, if the traction of the first 2 is any indicator of what else is on this album, I just don't know. I just don't know. He might, if he releases this third so-called episode from Iceman, and if it performs similar to the last 2, especially which one, I don't know if he needs to release that. He might need to think on that again before he does that, because when you talk about spiraling, yeah, I just don't know, where do we go from here? It's just like I said, it continues to get worse. So what Billboard did, they did have an article also, which I thought was very interesting, and I'm going to share that with you all, where they talked about how should Drake feel about what's happening right now with his releases. And so I haven't read the article yet. I saw the headline when I was preparing for this live. So let's jump in and see exactly what this article is saying. I'm very curious to see what it's going to say. But let's jump in and see what it has to say. All right. So, how should Drake feel about the performance of his Iceman singles so far? This week's Five Burning Questions looks at what did I miss and which one. The first two singles from his upcoming Iceman album. Okay. So after a tumultuous 2024, Drake largely stabilized his standing throughout 2025's first half with his Billboard 200 topping Party Next Door team up LP, Some Sexy Songs for You, and his Billboard Hot 100 number two peak and breakout hit Nokia. Nokia did debut, it actually reached the number two, but it debuted at number 10, which was still different for a Drake song, but it was in the top 10 and it did peak at number two. I don't know if I would agree with them saying that after a tumultuous 2024, Drake largely stabilized his standing throughout 2025's first half with his Billboard hit Nokia. I don't, I think that's reach, but I'll carry on with the article. They say now he's trying to reclaim his top dog status with his upcoming Iceman album, starting with advanced singles What Did I Miss and Which One. Now, there's a conversation that has been going on about what now is to come of Drake, right? Will Drake reclaim his top dog status or not? And it feels like there are really two camps for this discussion. One camp is no, he's done. He'll never reclaim the status he had prior to the beef. And then there's another camp that's saying, you got to be kidding me with the question. He is still Drake. So there's another camp that fully expects him to reclaim his top dog status. And I don't know how that particular camp is feeling after these two singles. I mean, that camp is still out there and they still believe that Drake is Drake and Drake will reclaim the top dog status. But I don't know. All I can say is from the performance of What Did I Miss and Which One is looking shaky. Okay. So whether Drake will be able to climb back to his early decade perch, however, is unclear. From the early response to those two singles, Miss had a strong number two debut on the Hot 100, but has slid out of the top 30 in the 3 weeks since, while Which One, featuring star UK rapper Central C, bows out number 23 this week, or debuts at number 23 this week. That is unusual for a Drake song. Are either of these two songs likely to last as a hit? I think the answer to that is no. And how imperative is it that Drake score a Hot 100 number one at some point on this album cycle? So Billboard staffers discuss these questions and more below. Okay, let's just jump to the questions. Drake's lead Iceman single, What Did I Miss? Debuted at number two on the Hot 100 4 weeks ago and has since slid out of the top 30. Has that performance been better, worse, or about what you would expect for the song? Kyle Dennis says, it's a bit worse than I expected, and I wasn't expecting too much to begin with. I enjoy What Did I Miss? I think it's a solid record, and it's nice to hear Drake straight up rapping with his back somewhat against the wall, but the song lacks the magnetism that a lead single should have. The hook is also on the weaker side, and the music video isn't much to write home about. I'm not surprised that casual listeners haven't bought into the song. So now we're saying casual. I'm just gonna keep reading. Okay. Another staffer at Billboard said, just about right. The song is a safe Drake record, catchy barbs laced with his usual shoot first energy. For Drake, a chart slip like this raises an eyebrow, but it's not panic worthy. After all, he delivered one of Q1's hottest songs with Nokia. People love to circle Drake's missteps, whether it's Pusha or Kendrick, but tracks like Nokia and Somebody Loves Me prove that when needed, he can still swing for the fences. Okay. Another person at Billboard said, it's about what I expected. What did I miss is more of a reaction than a bid for a summertime hit, with Drake tossing out wounded, provocative bars rather than hooks that continue the crossover momentum of his spring smash Nakia. A song like What Did I Miss is designed to trigger a sprint to your streaming service of choice on the night it's released, not persist on hip hop radio for weeks on end. Hence, the reason why the song blasted into the runner up spot on the Hot 100 upon its release and has since slid down the chart. Well, I do agree with that. I think the title, What Did I Miss? The fact that it's a song from Drake, his first song, not on a collab album, but his first song along, the title along is provocative. And of course, people were going to rush to the song to see what he had to say. And those numbers represented that. It had enough people to run to the song to push it to number 2, and then it slid right on out of the top 10. So it had no stamina to it. Another staffer says the debut feels about right, but I thought it would have more legs through the rest of the summer and hold strong around the top 10 to 20. What did I miss? Had the right intentions. I felt like Drake had plenty to get off his chest, and this was a proper launch into the Iceman era. Another staffer said better than I expected at first, worst after, and number 2 debut was more than acceptable for this song, but falling as precipitously as it has in the week since, despite an official video, a performance at Drake's headlining appearance at Wireless Festival, and his online grousing about debuting one spot short of the goal is sort of telling. Okay, so the next question that was put before these Billboard staffers was, which one, featuring Central C, debuts at number 23 on the Hot 100 this week? Do you think Drake should be concerned about a debut outside of the top 20, or is it understandable for this song at this point in his album cycle? Kyle Dennis says, for what it's worth, which one is this week's highest new entry on the Hot 100? I'm sorry. Y'all can try to dress that up all you want. A song from Drake debuting at number 23 is not a good look for Drake. It's just not for Drake. Let's see. Nonetheless, it's difficult for me to wrap my head around a new Drake song, particularly one that's catchy and features one of the hottest new rappers of the 2020s, not just debuting outside of the top 20, but also behind several holdover hits from the previous year. Which one was never going to debut at number 1, but a top 10 debut at least should have been guaranteed? Another Billboard staffer said, a little of both. If my batting average looked like Drake's, aka the all-time Hot 100 hit leader, I wouldn't be stressed about it. That said, Team Drake probably misread this record's hit potential, and because expectations are higher than ever, anything shy of 2018's dominance, God's Plan, In My Feelings, Nice for What, feels like a miss. As much as I could scream about Nokia being both a chart and cultural banger, the fact remains his last solo number 1 was 2021. What's next? Oh, so another Billboard staffer said, considering his record-setting track record as a Hot 100 fixture, Drake should not be concerned with any chart debut, much less that of a collaborative track that's not a lead single to a new project. I totally disagree with that. This staffer goes on to say, which one pairs Drake with Central C at a moment in which the London rapper is continuing to make strides in North America, but the song itself is too weak to make for any sort of blockbuster team up and doesn't cater to either of their strengths. Which one might be a missed opportunity, but I don't think the song speaks to any macro trends with regards to Drake's commercial viability. I think he's off the mark. And he's too much of an analyst, if you ask me. I don't think he understands the pulse of what's happening out here with people. Another Billboard staffer said, this was where Drake lost me a bit. With so much riding on Iceman and the momentum heading into the project, I was hoping he'd go with something in the chamber that felt bulletproof, or more undeniable when it comes to being a hit that can live in the Iceman zeitgeist. A debut outside the top 20 feels like that message wasn't sent as well. Okay, I agree with that comment. And another Billboard staffer said, I mean, it's not great. I doubt anyone expected another number two debut. Let me tell you something. These comments from these people, I tell you, they trip me out. What are the expectations for Drake? What were the expectations of a Drake song prior to the battle? If it's not debuting at number one, it's definitely going to debut at top 10. The idea that anybody thought prior to the beef that any Drake song was going to be like not even in the top 20, it's nobody was thinking that. So no. No, and he's had songs, that debut lower than that in his history. I might do another video separate of that, but not in, like I said, from the 2010s on, that has not been the case with Drake. Okay, so having a song debut out of the top 20, no. Let's see. Then this person at Billboard said, then it looked like they were gonna have to settle for the lower half of the top 20. Now it appears even that was optimistic. And it's not like the song got buried under an album bomb from a much anticipated drop. This was the week's highest debuting song. It'd be one thing if which one was a tossed off rant or stream of consciousness diary entry clearly not meant for mass appeal, but this was clearly made with global pop intentions. Though, to be fair, it at least did do a little better on that front. Let's see, coming in at number 14 on the Global 200. Okay. So the next question put before these staffers was, do you see either of these two songs sticking around the Hot 100 and in the culture for the rest of the summer? Which one is more likely to have that endurance? Kyle at Billboard said, I still expect which one to build into a sizable late summer hit, especially if radio latches onto it. In terms of the Iceman rollout and Drake's post-beef narrative, however, I think What Did I Miss will ultimately prove to be the more important song of the two. Now, I actually could agree with that because when What Did I Miss first came out, and how Drake staged it as an episode 1, I like that. Whether he was still whining about LeBron or whatever, his friends betraying him, people betraying him, and all of that, I was actually okay with that. And the only reason why I was okay with that is because he called it episode 1. And I'm like, okay, if this is episode 1 where you kind of need to say, okay, this is what I've been through. What did I miss? How did I not see that these people would betray me? How did I not see this? How did I not see somebody who I took as a brother would betray me? How did I not see this? What did I miss? If that's like your opening thing and this story is going somewhere else, I was cool with that. Now, seeing what he did with Central C, I don't know what the story is doing. Okay. But I was optimistic at first when he did What Did I Miss? Because I was also hoping, well, maybe we're going to even see some maturity in his music because he's going to really set this up as a story of something with some substance. But, all right. So Carl at Billboard said, no, the bar is too damn high. Drake doesn't get to drop solid or cool. Reality is he has to drop anthems. If this rollout is meant to be an OVO opus, he'll need to recalibrate. Neither of these records will get him there. Maybe which one sneaks into OVO Fest via a fire video, but I wouldn't bet on it. I agree. The bar is high. He doesn't have time to play around with this type of thing that he's doing right now. Jason at Billboard said, what did I miss? At least captures Drake at a specific moment in time, picking up the pieces following a public spat with Kendrick Lamar, side-eyeing those he thought he could trust, and is compelling as both a historical document and a rare showcase of his vulnerability. Well, I don't know about rare showcase of his vulnerability because Drake is pretty known for being vulnerable. But I do agree with everything he said here about how it felt like he was setting up a story, like I mentioned a few minutes ago. And that's why I was like, okay, where are we going after What Did I Miss? I was kind of looking forward to the episodes. Neither song will define Drake's musical output in the way that Nokia, his most downright fun hit in years, has already lodged secured its spot on the list of his months running smashes. But What Did I Miss is more memorable than which one for sure. Michael at Billboard said, I don't see much traction for either remaining chart friendly, but What Did I Miss feels as it could have some more juice tied to the themes of Iceman and the rest of the rollout. Andrew at Billboard says, seems to me like the people have spoken about these two. Could be wrong, but I imagine Drake will regroup and move on from them pretty quickly. Okay, and let's see, this may be the last question for the Billboard staffers. Pardon me. Though number one Hot 100 debuts were nearly automatic for Drake for most of the 2020s, the best he's done this year is number two for both Nokia and What Did I Miss. Is it important for him to end the year with at least one number one song? Or is he fine peaking with a couple of number twos, considering how low he seemed to have fallen last year? So Kyle at Billboard said, considering this is a rapper who has gloated about having more slaps, Hot 100 top 10 hits than the Beatles, and celebrated tying Michael Jackson for the most Hot 100 chart toppers amongst male soloists at number one before 2025 ends, a number one before 2025 ends is absolutely important. In a perfect world, the longevity of Nokia alone should have put all this conversation to bed. But when you consciously align your brand with commercial success, specifically number one singles, you're forever held to that standard. Bravo, Kyle. Carl at Billboard said, let's be real. Drake literally called out Alex Warren for blocking his number one debut with What Did I Miss? He's not in the game for second place. Silver medals don't mean much to Drizzy Drake Rogers. And while his 15-year run doesn't get enough credit, the vultures have been circling, waiting for a slip. Drake's story is built on dominance on breaking Billboard. To settle for anything less than number one isn't just a loss, it's off brand. He's not here to play in the finals. The brother is here to hoist trophies. Okay, Jason at Billboard said Nokia represents a far more significant achievement than a random Drake song debuting at number one on the Hot 100 and then quickly fading from memory. Following the Kendrick Lamar feud last year, Drake scoring another major pop smash in the near future seemed wildly unlikely. But with Nokia, listeners sniffed out the most joyful moment on Some Sexy Songs for You and turned it into a top 10 mainstay. Battle lines were drawn across popular hip hop last year as Drake and Kendrick Lamar exchanged diss tracks. But casual rap fans would rather replay exciting singles than pledge undying allegiance to one side of a feud. Even though it likely won't reach the top of the Hot 100, Nokia proved that regardless of his performance in that feud, Drake can still produce a modern mega smash. I don't know if anybody is debating whether or not Drake can produce a song like Nokia or produce another song that's in the top 10, or produce another song that even eventually hits number one. I don't know if anybody's debating necessarily his ability to do that. I think people are I think I think people are more so debating, will he be able to regain the posture he had prior to the beef, right? So I think that's more so what people are debating. But anyway, Michael at Billboard said historically a number one hit would be huge as it would break his tie with Michael Jackson and give him the most Hot 100 chart toppers of any male solo artist, which would certifiably stamp his comeback post beef and give him another notch on his Chrome Hearts belt with some hardware to go along with it. However, not all hits are the same. Yes, the stats are great, but a song like Nokia had a months long buzz and is a club hit with more cultural relevance and cachet than some tracks we see launch at number one and quickly fall off the face of the earth with no impact. So even though it only reached number two, I believe that can outweigh the shooting star at number one that's nowhere to be found in the weeks to follow. Oh, well, if only Drake saw it that way, because Drake complained about his song not hitting number one with his first release. What did I miss? So, again, like the other person said from Billboard, Drake is not interested in anything but that number one spot. Another staffer at Billboard said Nokia was exactly the song that Drake needed this year, and I think it was totally fine that it only peaked at number two. Hell, so did his spiritual predecessor, Hotline Bling, a decade ago. Drake loves number ones, of course, but he didn't need one, at least not at that point. And he probably still would not if he hadn't publicly called out Alex Warren and promised that he'd be taking that number one spot soon. Don't worry, one song or another. Now, see, that was Drake flexing. When Drake did not hit the number one spot and Alex Warren did, that was Drake saying, whatever, I'm going to take the number one spot sooner or later. So that's why all these comments about, well, Drake doesn't care that he doesn't, it's okay if he doesn't get number one. No, to him, it's not okay. And the debut, your most recent song debuted at number, 23? Come on. So rule changes and all. Now he's at risk of fairly major embarrassment. He is past being at risk for fairly major embarrassment. If he can't put his money where his mouth is, and while it's been historically inadvisable to bet against Drake on the charts, he's moving in the wrong direction so far. Facts. Okay. Plot out your vision for the perfect third single from Iceman. What would it consist of? And I would love to know from you all. What do you think Drake really needs to do with episode 3 that's going to be released for Iceman in order to turn things around? Okay. What did I miss? Clearly was not it. Which one was even more so not it? So what in the world do you think this third single from Iceman needs to do in order for him to get some traction? So one staffer at Billboard said, I think Drake has got to get back with the ladies again. Oh, Lord. Okay. I don't know why. I get annoyed when people say Drake, the women need to bail Drake out. And the only reason why I get annoyed is because it suggests that women only want songs to kind of shake their what to, and these women are not real hip hop music lovers, because I'm like, why do you think that, okay, target the women, that's the easy audience? Really? I don't think so. I think he tried to do that with Central C and the Which One, and it didn't work. Just a song for the women to turn up to, and it did not work. So anyway, Kyle Dennis went on to say it could be cool to see him lock back in with 40 for a Take Care-esque mid-tempo to carry us into the fall. Ideally, he offers a more mature reflection on the state of his romantic life and gets someone like Mariah the Scientist on the hook to nod to a new class of R&B stars. In a timeline with a more daring Drizzy, I'd love to see what he and Pink Pantheress could cook up. I feel like they could really surprise us. Okay. Drake and Travis, time to run back Sicko Mode 2025 edition and shake the globe again. Okay. Somebody said, Jason at Billboard, Drake needs more Nokia, all the Nokia. Just ride the vibe of the genuinely euphoric hit that brought you back onto pop radio. I'll take Motorola for Motorola, followed by BlackBerry. Please and thank you, Drake. Michael at Billboard said timestamp Drake, Conductor Williams beat, go time. And Andrew at Billboard said one rapper, one producer, one hook, one subject, and most importantly, one beat. Drake gives us a focused pop song, and the sky is still the limit. So those are the things that those Billboard staffers think Drake needs to do on his next release from Iceman in order to turn things around. We'll see. We'll see if anything turns around when episode 3 releases. I think it is his intention to release episode 3 here soon. And unless the failure to perform that which one had may make him maybe come up with another strategy. But again, which one debuted today on Billboard's Hot 100 at number 23. And that is not Drake like. So I do stand on he is down bad. I feel as if just when you think you see certain things going on with Drake and you're like, man, it can't get worse than this. It seems to get worse. People throwing bottles at you at concerts, people throwing a roll of tissue on the stage at you at your concert. Now your latest song debuts at number 23 on the Billboard Hot 100. We'll see. We'll see what episode 3 does on Iceman, because this right here, it's not enough. Until next time, bye, y'all.